Systemic racism is real. From Kotaku writers to game devs, CEOs and their swarms of roach-like supporters, they've pushed their racist misandry disguised as diversity, equity, and inclusion for years. However, with failed project after failed project after failed project, these activists continue to not only fail to bring positive endorsement from the general public, but actively invite vitriolic disdain by mindlessly shoving their beliefs down the throats of viewers through poorly executed storylines and wholly unlikable characters. There is, however, a way for both sides to win, but only if the activists in these companies are capable of good storytelling. The foundation of any good movie or game with a message comes down to the storytelling. Games have the added checkbox of having a good gameplay loop, which is a different video entirely. When a game drops their first teaser, you can immediately tell what their goal in developing the game is. Palworld was dubbed Pokemon with Guns. Cyberpunk highlighted the violence and futuristic nature of the game, and Elden Ring showed off character design of what we now know to be some of the craziest boss battles I've ever had. Then we have teasers for games where the story nor the gameplay are the focus, but instead the empowerment of a so-called oppressed class of citizen. And when the first attempt of that story failed, another studio tried again. Now, to be fair, we have no idea what the story for Flintlock actually is, and it could actually be a good game. But the history of Sweet Baby Inc. precedes itself, so the odds really aren't looking that good for them. And that's a shame. Forspoken as an isekai game sounded like an intriguing concept, and if the studio responsible focused on the quality of the story overall and the quality of their main character, they may have actually succeeded in making a good game with a diverse character. Unfortunately, their anger with the world bled into their character and got in the way of their success. And that's a continuing theme here. All of these activists are angry. They're angry at gamers for disliking their message, they're angry at companies for not pushing their message, they're angry at politicians for not enforcing their message, and they're angry at the industry that became successful because of mostly white men. That anger comes out in their art. It's very difficult for these people to make a product that resonates with the general public because it's not about making a quality product. It's about lecturing the audience about why the creator is angry at everything. Now here's the thing. It's possible for a character in a movie or video game to be a diverse character meant to represent some underrepresented member of society and not be a completely unlikable a-hole. It's possible for the storyline of a movie or video game to have a message about society without being an unbearable lecture meant to shame you for existing. Writers just need to introduce these characters as if they're talking like normal human beings instead of, well, like activists. Here's an example that's not from a video game. I don't play story games, I play mostly MMOs and survival games, so you make your own characters, so those games, I don't play story games. So anyway. Blue-Eyed Samurai is an 8-episode series on Netflix about a samurai on a quest for revenge against their father, a trope no one has heard of before. It's a pretty standard idea until you splash in a mixed-race protagonist, a white man as the villain, a strong-willed princess who doesn't want to submit to the patriarchy, a good-natured disabled fellow, and a strong warrior put in his place by our protagonist who is, lastly, a woman. All of that screams diversity, equity, and inclusion that should, by all accounts, make the show another hate-filled lecture that audiences avoid like the plague. However, it's not. Our protagonist is flawed and weak at times. That leads viewers to root for and fear for the character. The villain is incredibly smart, capable, and dangerous. The princess learns how to leverage her position after she tries to run away from it. Our disabled fellow simply follows our protagonist in a journey of discovery to find his own place in the world. And our strong warrior has character development beyond just being a butthurt guy who was beat by a woman. If you haven't watched the show, I really suggest that you do. If anything, for a lesson in what great writers can do with a diverse cast. The story becomes the star of the show, and the diverse cast seamlessly becomes a part of it and the culture of the environment that they exist in. And what did all of the hate-filled racist incels do as a result? They praised the show for its story, its visuals, and its quirky characters. No matter what the activists think, the truth is that the general public doesn't care about the moral arguments of DEI. They only care about being entertained. And this is the crux of the problem activists have. It isn't enough that the characters are diverse and the inclusive story is accepted by the general public. They have to self-insert themselves into these stories, bring down the characters that resemble groups of people in their lives, and proceed to lecture the audience about how they need to do better. Here's an example. Did you ever see the movie Charlie's Angels, 2019? Well, there are two scenes that stick in my mind whenever I think about it. First, there's this security guard that interacts with one of the main characters. Of course, this guy is meant to be the reason women should hate men. They even throw in the line, "Don't forget to smile," as an additional jab at the trope. Well, later on...
Ralph, get over here now.
There you are.
Ralph is about to blow. I can't stop it. Get over here.
You think I'm gonna listen to you, Hufflin?
Ralph, come!
Put
get
your hands where I
over
can
here.
see 'em.
Now.
Get this, Terry. Lance.
Now, I don't care who you are. If you see a beeping device and someone is screaming at you to get away, no amount of masculinity is going to stop you from running away like a toddler to their mommy. Instead, the empathetic female lead tries to save him, but because he's too masculine and won't listen to what she has to say, he stands his ground and dies a slow on-screen death. That's just used as a joke moments later.
I'm sure he's okay. I'm sure he's fine.
The other side of this coin is that flippant rich girl vibe personal assistant in Jurassic Park. You know exactly the one I'm talking about. That one that has a way too long scene where she gets tossed around by pterodactyls and finally eaten by the Mosasaurus. Both of these deaths were unnecessary and essentially created and killed unlikable characters for the sake of killing them off. Arguments for and against both deaths can be made, but in Charlie's Angels, the security guard was killed because he was a man. This was clear in the film. The assistant was killed because dinosaurs are hungry, although why no other people were being picked up by these dinosaurs in that scene is a little suspicious on behalf of, whoever designed that scene. My point here is that the people in charge of Charlie's Angels set out to make a movie about empowered women, and they burned an effigy of the classic misogynistic white European man. Now, while the entire Charlie's Angel movie is entertaining enough for a dollar rental on a rainy Sunday, it certainly wasn't enough to get people to see it in the theaters. It's of course because men hate women and can't stand the thought of them being put into the leads in various movies over men. And totally not because the entire movie was meant for women who hate the patriarchy and sought to destroy it. By the way, the main villain in the movie turns out to be a white guy. This brings us straight back to the point of this video. The general public isn't interested in the woke badgering that activists insist they need to hear. They're interested in good stories and characters. And in the case of the video game industry, they're interested in a good gameplay loop, something that's fun to play. As soon as the activists let go of the illusion of control they think they have over the entertainment industry and focus on becoming better writers, storytellers, and character designers, the sooner they can create more things like Blue-Eyed Samurai in both games and movies that actually do promote diversity in a way that's positively received by the general public. But just like poor Ralph, if they refuse to move from their position of hate, they will kill their entire cause. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. You're welcome.